Hello, everyone. So I'm here to break down the Irv Smith draft pick, which was at number 50, which they did not trade down from. And he weighed in at the combine a shade under 6'3", so he's 6'2", 242. He did run a 4.63 40. Now, his routes, I think he does accelerate very quick into his route, but it also kind of flows with a nice, decent pace to it. He's able to get over the top of linebackers very quickly and has a very good vertical push to his release, even though I think he does lack a certain second gear, so to say. And he does invite contact at the top of his route, but it's almost too much contact at times that he does invite. And occasionally he does take too many steps to slow down or actually, you know, get into his break, start working into the break, things of that nature. Now, his hands, I think, are very soft and reliable. He's shown the ability to kind of catch it away from his body. Has very natural hands, able to secure it there, bring it in, all the good stuff. And he naturally is able to pull the ball from behind his shoulder, kind of just right over the shoulder. It's a very natural thing to him. Ball skills, it's hard to find things where he's in a 50-50 kind of situation when it comes to that, because he's very good at separating from what is generally a linebacker. So there is that, and he is very good at tracking the ball and never looks uncomfortable while catching the ball. Now, yards after catch ability, I think, is kind of where he shines. He's kind of able to use a blend of strength, this like competitiveness, competitive toughness, whatever you would like to call it, and has a certain flair of elusiveness in there that makes him very, very effective after the catch, and doesn't really go down often on first contact. He usually is able to break a tackle, keep going, and able to fight for those extra yards. Now, he doesn't have enough speed to really, break the pursuit angles, so to speak, but I do think he has enough to kind of get the sizable chunks that we have kind of lacked from Kyle Rudolph these past few years due to his, slowness. And which brings me to the next point of speed. His movement skills are really good, and they're good enough to kind of work up the seam and be effective after the catch. He's able to accelerate quickly, but he's quicker than he is fast because he doesn't have that second gear really. So he gets to 4.63 real fast, just not able to push past that, it seems. He's a very smooth mover in space, and he has pretty good foot speed as a blocker, which is helpful. And play strength, he's able to hold his own against defensive ends sometimes, and like in the trenches, which is really nice to have. And he's able to do that because he uses great leverage and kind of optimizes and maximizes it to its, you know, best potential there. He shows good contact balance and body control, and he does have really, really good grip strength when his hands are actually able to latch on there. It's very hard to get him off. And he is able to break contact using strength, both as a runner and at the top of his routes. As I said, sometimes that contact gets a little too inviting for him. So, inline blocking has shown flashes of dominance actually in this form by turning out defensive ends and kind of winning actual reps as a drive blocker. He plays with really good leverage, and he stays square and takes advantage of angles to actually win more reps or more consistently, I will say, because he's not the biggest guy out there. So he understands that leverage and angles is kind of how he has to take guys out in the blocking way in terms of inline blocking. Space blocking is kind of where he thrives. And especially when he's lead blocking and like actually into the gap and when he's just on the move in general, like I said, he's really good at taking those angles and that leverage, and that kind of just combines with his athleticism on that, and it's really good because he has really good body control and is really consistent in taking those good angles. He is also reliable in the short yardage situations and kind of when he's in a bunch or on the perimeter, like in a bunch kind of formation, or just like I said, on the perimeter. And if you have a play where the tight end needs to make that key, crucial, necessary block, he's actually reliable at doing that. And the one play I always think of is the one we've seemed to have been running on like 3rd and 1 forever now, which is you motion the guy behind the guard and you run right up the middle, and it rarely works. So that's the play I immediately think of. And yeah, this is going to be really interesting of how they handle Kyle Rudolph, because I think Irv Smith actually provides more both in blocking and in the receiving game. And Kyle Rudolph has a nice little $7.6 million tag on him here. And that's not going to fly, I don't think, anymore, because we do have Irv Smith. I know they're probably going to be like, oh no, they're going to both play. I think Rudolph's days are numbered here. And mostly because, once again, they're kind of way below what they need to be. And I believe right now they need to actually free up money to really sign all the draft picks, especially now that they have a ton of them in the late rounds. But he's a better blocker. He's a better receiver. He's a better route runner. He's pretty much what Kyle has on him is Kyle's bigger, and he's very good in that red zone aspect. So did we find just a third receiver here, and for a year we have them both? Maybe, but I still think his days are kind of numbered, and we could likely see a trade either tomorrow or after the draft at some point. It's hard to believe that they'll both be on the roster day one for me. That's just my personal thought. You guys can think what you will. And I'm going to give this a B-plus grade just because I think, like I said, I think he could be better than Rudolph at basically all of the key things. Like, he's able to separate more. He fits today's NFL more. As where Kyle Rudolph has kind of transitioned from one age into this one now, and he's just a different player from a time where it's just different, where those bigger, slower tight ends were okay because the only time they were ever thrown a ball was in the red zone, basically. And they would end with, 30, 40 catches, but they'd have like 12 touchdowns. That's the kind of way Rudolph was supposed to be used and drafted for. Now we've come into an age where a tight end is possibly your top threat. With all the stuff going on in Kansas City, Travis Kelce becomes the top threat there, possibly. And that's not even a bad thing that happened in terms of, that's not in spite of him. That's he's really good. So it's kind of got to that point where these are basically receivers and actual offensive weapons, where Kyle Rudolph is not. So giving it a B plus because I think he's better than Rudolph, but it's also dragged down a little bit because you still have Rudolph on the roster, so it's not really the most pressing need, so to speak. But I understand this fully because obviously there's only 1 year left on Rudolph's contract. So you're kind of saying if he's not traded this year, we're going to just not sign him back. That's how that is. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Until next time, bid y'all adieu.